Hello everyone, good evening. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing great. Thank you so much for choosing Dark Turn once again to listen to another exciting story. I really appreciate all your support. Now, let's get straight to tonight's story. I was sitting on a bench in the university courtyard, watching Murdad and Nafiseh from a short distance away. Nafiseh was my childhood friend. The first day I went to school, first grade, I sat down on a bench, and a little girl came and sat right beside me. From that moment, our friendship began. Since then, we'd always sat next to each other in every class through all the school years. We'd become like family. Now, we were both university students. Nafiseh had recently met Murdad there. Murdad was, well, kind of a rich guy. His dad was a dentist, his mom a cosmetic doctor, a well-off, respectable family. And he himself was really good-looking. They seemed happy together, and honestly, I was happy for them. As I sat there, they walked toward me. I smiled, shook both their hands, and moved aside so they could sit. We chatted for a bit, and then I went off to my class. Ever since Nafiseh started her relationship, things had changed a little. On one hand, her excitement rubbed off on me. But on the other hand, I kind of got bored. She wasn't online with me as much anymore, and she barely hung out with me at school. She was always with him. So yeah, I was feeling a bit lonely. I looked around at the guys on campus, scanning faces, trying to see if any of them caught my eye. But every time I focused on someone, there was always something wrong. Either they already had a girlfriend, or there was just no spark. I sighed in frustration and started scrolling aimlessly on my phone while waiting for the professor. He finally arrived, taught for a bit, and then, clearly not in the mood, said he had somewhere to be, so class was dismissed early. No one complained, of course. After he left, I texted Nafiseh. "I'm heading home." She replied almost immediately. "No, wait. Murdad just left. I'm still in class, let's go home together." "Okay," I wrote back and decided to wait in the yard. About half an hour later, I saw her coming from a distance. I waved goodbye to a few friends and went to meet her. Nafiseh wasn't the kind of girl you had to ask what was new. She'd tell you everything the moment she saw you. As we walked toward the bus stop, she started talking excitedly. "Soda, you won't believe what we talked about today. We got so close, like, really personal. He said the woman he marries has to be a good cook." Then she laughed. "He told me his favorite food is vishka." I was like, "What's that?" He'd explained how it's made: fried onions, minced meat, potatoes, rice, something like that. I didn't totally get it. Then she said, "He hates it when onions are visible in food. And he doesn't like anything too sour or too sweet." Nafiseh giggled. "Do you think he's seeing me as wife material?" I mean, why else would he tell me all that in such detail? I shrugged. "I don't know, babe. Maybe he is serious about you. Sounds like he's thinking long term." She smiled shyly and went on. "Oh, and he said he doesn't really like it when girls tie their hair up in a ponytail. He prefers when their hair is down." I laughed. "Ugh, I can't stand my hair down. It drives me crazy. It's always falling on my shoulders." She just smiled. "You know," she said, "I can tell he looks at me differently. I've dated 2 guys before, and they were nothing like this. All they cared about was my body, whether I'd go to parties with them. But Murdad, he's different. He talks about marriage, about family, about real life." Then she told me he'd mentioned that his dad got married young, and he wanted to be like him, to get married early too. I put my hands in my jacket pockets and said, "Well, just be careful. Don't mess it up. Try to make it work with him. He seems like a good guy. Handsome, rich, from a good family. You'd be crazy to lose him." She laughed softly and said, "You're the best friend ever, Soda. I promise, you'll be the first to see me in a wedding dress." We both laughed, and as I brushed my hair off my shoulder, the bus finally arrived. While we waited to board, Nafiseh kept talking, going over every tiny detail Murdad had told her, what he liked, what he didn't like, every word, every look, every moment, as if she wanted to relive it all over again. By the time I got home that evening, Nafiseh had already repeated every tiny detail of her relationship with Murdad over and over again, just like always. And once I was home, she kept sending me screenshots of their chats, one by one, asking me what to reply or how to answer. Sometimes, I'd even help her come up with the right response. That's how our days usually went, her talking about Murdad, and me listening, advising, and just going along. I had an older brother. He'd moved to another city to live on his own. Why? Because one day he simply said, "I want to start a new life somewhere else. I don't want to stay here anymore." At first, everyone was against the idea. My mom was heartbroken. She couldn't handle the thought of him leaving. But eventually, when she realized nothing could stop him, she gave in. Dad told him, "At least get married first." But my brother didn't listen. He borrowed some money from Dad and left anyway. He started a tiny little restaurant by the beach and made a life there for himself. My mom's family was originally from the north. Near the sea, my grandmother still lived there, so he'd picked that place to settle down. Grandma would often visit him. She'd stay for a week, sometimes two. Dad worked at the gas company. He was just a regular employee, but his salary was decent. We weren't rich, not at all, but we weren't poor either. We lived a comfortable, ordinary life. It's not like we had multiple houses or luxury cars, but we never went hungry or felt deprived. If we wanted something reasonable, we could afford it. Dad had even saved up money to help my brother get married one day, but instead, he gave it to him so he could start his business in Kish. So yeah, we were a normal family living a normal life. Everything in my world was routine, predictable. Every morning I'd wake up, go to university, study, or sometimes stay home to read or watch educational videos on YouTube. I wasn't the kind of girl who wasted time doing nothing. I worked hard, I always wanted the best for myself, and I pushed myself toward it. That's just who I was. At that time, I really wanted to have a great partner, someone who matched my energy, but I hadn't been very lucky. I wasn't the kind of girl who went chasing after guys or throwing herself into random hangouts just to find someone. But if a good one ever showed up, I wouldn't say no either. That's how life went quiet, steady, until suddenly everything changed, and I still don't even know how. It was winter, cold days. Every day I went to university, and on the days I didn't, I hung out with Nafiseh. She and Murdad would usually take me along when they went out with our group of friends, to cafes, sometimes to the movies. We were never just the three of us. It was usually 6 to 10 people, classmates, friends, all hanging out together. In that group, there was a guy named Nariman. He kind of liked me, but honestly, I didn't feel the same way. He was just not my type. I'd seen him flirting with other girls, joking around too much. He didn't have that charm or quiet confidence that makes a guy attractive. You know those guys who laugh at everything and try too hard? That was Nariman. I've always believed that attractive guys are the ones who don't give their attention easily, the ones you have to earn it from. If a guy's attention is already scattered all over the place, then there's nothing special about it. No matter how hard Nariman tried, he never really caught my interest. He'd always be laughing loudly with every girl, cracking jokes, being silly. It actually annoyed me. Then I'd look over at Murdad, sitting calmly, serious, maybe a little mysterious, and I'd see how he only smiled when he was talking to Nafiseh. And every time I noticed that, Nariman seemed even less appealing to me. One day, our group went out to a restaurant near a lake. It was a beautiful place, peaceful and cold. Everyone was sitting in pairs. I ended up sitting with a girl named Zara. We were sharing a blanket on our laps because of the cold, whispering and laughing quietly. Not in a mean way, just harmless gossip. Like, look at that girl's hair. What was she thinking? Or, why is Nasreen wearing that outfit with her body shape? You know, silly comments. Not because we were bad people, just bored and chatty. Suddenly, Nariman walked over and said with a smirk, "Hey, everyone's sitting in pairs. Why are you two together? Don't tell me you're into each other." Before I could even react, Zara frowned and snapped back. "You know, it's fun when you joke around sometimes, we laugh too. But this isn't funny anymore. Watch your mouth, Nariman. You're crossing the line." The two of them started arguing, Zara and Nariman. At first, it was just back and forth, but then Zara completely lost it. Her hands started shaking, her voice trembling as she shouted, "You insulted me before too. This isn't the first time." Nariman fired back, "You're so sensitive. You're overreacting. I wasn't even talking to you." They just kept going at each other. Nafiseh and Murdad, who were sitting nearby, quickly came over. Nafiseh pulled Zara aside, trying to calm her down, while Murdad told Nariman to leave and cool off somewhere else. Then Murdad turned to me and said, "What's wrong with her? Why is she freaking out like that?" I shrugged. "I have no idea. But honestly, I can't stand him. I swear, if he's going to keep hanging around with us, just don't invite me next time. I'm done." He laughed. "Wow, you really hate him that much? You know his phone wallpaper is a picture of you, right?" I froze. "What? A picture of me? How could he even have one?" Murdad shoved his hands into his jacket pockets and said casually, "No idea. Maybe he took it by accident. But I saw it this morning. You were definitely his background. Poor guy, he's in love, and you can't stand him. Funny how love and hate are just one step apart, huh?" I laughed. "Maybe in Bollywood movies, sure. But in real life? Not a chance. I could never like that guy." He looked over at Nariman from a distance, then turned back to me. "Why not? What's so bad about him?" It was the first real conversation we'd ever had, just the two of us. Usually, Nafiseh was always with him. It's not like I'd ever tried to talk to him before, but it just hadn't happened until then. I leaned against the cold iron railing and said, "I don't like guys who laugh with every girl. Someone like that could never be my type. He should either talk only to me or be so serious that I have to work for his attention. A man who's that easy, who throws his charm around, can never attract me." He smiled softly. "You're actually a really attractive girl, you know that? And I don't just mean your looks. I've been watching you for a while. You're smart, calm, confident. You don't just come to university to kill time, you study seriously. You're good at English, you're skilled with computers, you know what you're doing. And besides all that, you've got good manners, good energy, a good heart. I can tell you were raised well. You should be proud of yourself, and your parents should be proud too." Maybe it all started from that moment. That cold winter evening when he looked into my eyes with warmth and admiration while saying those words. Maybe that's when something shifted. That's when I first really noticed him. I smiled faintly and didn't say anything. He turned away, placed his hand gently on Nafiseh's shoulder, and together they walked off, laughing, chatting like nothing had happened. Zara, still upset, sighed. "I'm going home. You coming?" I didn't feel like staying either. Something in me felt strange. "Yeah, I'll come. You have your car, right?" She nodded. "Yeah. Come on, hop in." We got in her car, and on the way she stopped at a roadside stand that sold Ash a hot Persian soup. We sat by the road, holding warm bowls in our cold hands. The sun was fading, twilight had painted the sky gray. From the nearby mountains, we could hear the distant howling of wolves. As I tasted the soup, its warmth spreading through me, I asked, "Zara, What do you think will happen between Nafiseh and Murdad? She tucked a curly strand of hair behind her ear and said, honestly, I think they'll get married. Then she leaned closer and whispered, don't tell Nafiseh I said this, but I saw them the other day behind that little coffee stand near campus. He kissed her. So yeah, I think it's serious. I think it's headed toward marriage. You know how it is, most campus relationships never last, but this one feels different. My friend used to date this guy, that's how we all met. Anyway, what usually causes most breakups in college is that the guy's still a student, doesn't have a job, hasn't found his path yet. But Murad isn't like that. He's got a solid background, you know? He could easily get married. I have a feeling he and Nafiseh might actually get engaged. Don't you get that vibe? I shrugged and said, I don't know. But if they do, Nafiseh is gonna be really happy. I think for the first time, she's actually falling in love. Zara laughed, winked, and said, you two have such similar taste. You pick everything together. Be careful not to pick this one together too. I rolled my eyes at her and laughed at her lame joke, not realizing it wasn't really a joke. Nafiseh and I were always like that. We'd walk into a store and suddenly both reach for the same bag or pair of shoes at the same time. Our taste was ridiculously similar. Even our clothes sometimes ended up matching. We liked the same movies, read the same kinds of books, everything. That day, after finishing our soup, we went to a small traditional cafe. I texted my mom, telling her I was stuck in traffic. We sat side by side, smoked some hookah, drank tea. Honestly, it was more fun than hanging out with the whole group. We decided we'd start going out just the two of us from then on. Now that Nafiseh was in a relationship, I'd been feeling kinda lonely, so I was happy I'd found Zara. After chatting a bit more, I found out she actually liked Nariman and apparently, he'd asked her out once and then suddenly backed off. She'd felt humiliated, like he'd played her, which was why she'd snapped at him earlier that day. It was around 10 p.m. when Zara dropped me off in front of my house. I quietly opened the door, hoping to sneak into my room, but Mom appeared at the doorway holding a spatula. Where have you been till now? She asked. I smiled wide and said, Mom, come on. I'm a college student. I need some stories to tell my kids one day. I can't just go to class and come straight home every day. It's not a big deal. I just went out for a bit. There was traffic, that's all. Now please move, I'm tired. What's for dinner? She smirked and said, don't lie. I know you're not eating dinner. I laughed, blew her a kiss, and went to my room. She always got upset when she cooked and no one ate. Whenever I wanted to cheer her up, I'd ask, what did you make? And she'd instantly light up, all happy and excited that someone wanted to eat her food. She really was a great cook. Maybe that's why it hurt her so much when we didn't eat. She took pride in it. Her food wasn't just good, it was perfect. That night, I trimmed my nails, planning to get them redone the next day. At the salon, while the pedicurist was filing my nails, she asked, what color do you want this time? I was about to say French when suddenly Nafiseh's voice echoed in my head. Murad loves red nail polish. Or like a red that leans toward maroon, not too bright, but not too dark either. He says it's classy. I glanced at the colors, found one that matched that exact shade, and showed it to the girl. As she started painting my nails, I caught myself thinking, why did I pick this color? A voice in my head whispered, because guys like it. It's better this way. When I got home, I told Mom I wanted to take lunch with me the next day. Once a week, I'd bring food from home, and that day, Murad and Nafiseh were also bringing theirs. The campus cafeteria wasn't open that day, and we didn't have enough time between classes to go out to eat. We only had a 15-minute break, barely enough to eat, let alone go anywhere, and after that, we had a long lecture until 6 in the evening. So, bringing lunch was our only option. Mom asked, What should I cook? Without even thinking, I stood up and said, make vivishka. The one that shows your roots. Make it extra delicious, okay? Like, it should smell so good that everyone notices. She laughed. What's gotten into you? Why such a specific request? I shrugged. I don't know. Just make it, okay? Really tasty. I'm serious. The next day, as I headed toward the cafeteria, I couldn't help smiling. From afar, I spotted Murad and Nafiseh sitting together. I waved at them. They smiled back. Nafiseh had a few pieces of kuku sabzi in front of her, and Murad's plate was still empty. I pulled out a chair, sat down beside them, and greeted them warmly. Then I proudly set my food container on the table. The one I already knew held the most delicious lunch in the world. I asked Murad, why don't you have any food? He smiled and said, I just didn't feel like bringing anything today. There was stuff in the fridge, but honestly, I didn't have the energy this morning. I'm not really hungry anyway. Nafiseh keeps insisting I eat some of hers, but I swear I'm fine. You guys eat. If it makes you uncomfortable, I can just go. I smiled. No, it's fine. But come on, at least have a few bites of mine. There's a lot. I told my mom she gave me way too much, and she said, take it and share with Nafiseh. She's part of the family now anyway. When I opened the container, he went quiet, just stared at the food. The golden saffron rice, the perfectly brown meat in tomato and saffron sauce, the crispy fried potatoes on the side, a little garnish of parsley, and the neat, layered tachin, all of it made his mouth water. Then he finally gave in and said, you sure you've got too much? I smiled. Yeah, totally. Let me grab a spoon. Oh, and maybe a soda too. Nafiseh smiled. Don't get one for me. I frowned. Why not? She pouted playfully. Maybe I'll need to fit into a dress soon. I'm on a diet. Then she pointed at her kuku sabzi. I gasped, my eyes lighting up. What are you saying? Wait, are you serious? You're actually getting engaged? Oh my God. No way. Congratulations. My little sweetheart's getting married. I hugged her tightly while Murad leaned back in his chair, laughing at us. He didn't let me go grab the soda, he went himself. When he came back, Nafiseh barely touched her food, and I only had a couple of bites. Murad ended up finishing almost everything. Then he said, surprised, I go up north all the time, and our housekeeper makes this dish really well, but honestly, this is the best version I've ever had. The rice is perfectly steamed, the potatoes are golden without being burnt, the meat has no bad smell, and the flavor, God, I can't stop eating it. Who cooked this? I smiled shyly. I didn't know you'd like it that much. I made it. He grinned. You made this? It's not just good, it's incredible. I didn't know you could cook like this. Then Nafiseh laughed and said, you cooked this? You can't even pour yourself a cup of tea. How did you make this? I laughed too. You're all grown up now, you forgot about me. Since Mom's been having back pain, she's been telling me to cook more. She says I inherited her skills, apparently I'm getting good at it. I honestly didn't think you'd like it that much though. But I'm glad you did. If you loved it that much, I'll tell Mom to make it again next week. He chuckled. Actually, this is one of my favorite dishes, but I don't want to trouble you. I shrugged. It's no trouble at all. So it's settled, I'll bring this again next week. But only if Nafiseh eats with us. Nafiseh smiled. Don't be jealous. Encourage me to stick to my diet. You two eat. As time flew by, the three of us hurried off to class. Murad's class was in another building, but mine and Nafiseh's were together. As soon as we sat down, she leaned toward me and started talking in a whisper again, going over every tiny detail about their relationship. What Murad liked, what he didn't, what he said, what his family said, what her family said, everything. That's when I realized Murad liked positive girls, girls who smiled through the tough moments, who had good energy. He didn't like complainers. He wasn't the kind of guy who'd hold you when you sulked. But if something went wrong and you smiled anyway, that's when you really won his heart. He hated whining and pessimism. And Nafiseh didn't get that. From the way she talked, I could tell he didn't like it when she kept saying things like, "We'll be together forever, right?" Or, "What if something goes wrong?" She thought that was love, but it actually pushed him away. What he wanted was for her to sit beside him and say, "We belong to each other. I'm yours." Nafiseh couldn't see it, but I could. Because I was watching their relationship from the outside. Not really as a third person. Wait, is that the right term? Third person? If not, tell me the right one. I should learn. My sister studies law, but she's not around to ask. Anyway, love me with all my flaws, okay? Where was I again? God, I talk too much nonsense. Where was I? In short, the girl was spilling every little detail about her relationship, like most of us do when we have that one super close friend we tell everything to. Anyway, after class ended and we got outside, it started raining. Nafiseh quickly hid her bag and said, "Ugh, my bag's white. It's gonna get dirty. You don't know how nasty rainwater stains this kind of material." Oh God, what should I do? Without even thinking, I said, "What a beautiful rain. I just want to go stand under it, let my hair down, and spin around." Nafiseh, come on, let's go play in the rain. She frowned and said, "I'm literally telling you my bag's gonna get ruined, and you're saying let's go in the rain? Ugh, what a time for it to start raining. I hate this weather." I laughed, stepped into the courtyard, and started walking in the rain. A few moments later, they both joined me. Murad insisted on giving me a ride home, but I refused and told them to go ahead without me. I started walking toward the bus stop. A few minutes later, his car pulled up beside me. He rolled down the window and said, "Come on, get in. It's freezing out here. You'll catch a cold. Hurry up." I smiled and said, "Well, since you insist, okay. I just didn't want to bother you." Nafiseh gave me an eye roll and said, "You're not bothering anyone. Just get in, it's too cold." I got in. My hands were freezing, so I held them up to the car heater. Murad looked at my hands and said with concern, "See? Your hands are like ice. I told you to wait until I brought the car." I smiled and said, "I just didn't want to trouble you." At that moment, Nafiseh noticed my nails and asked, "Did you paint your nails red this time?" I laughed and said, "Yeah, both my hands and feet. I love red in winter, it's just so bold." Murad chimed in before Nafiseh could reply, "Red's always attractive, no matter the season." After a while, my hands got warm. I leaned back quietly and listened to their little argument. Murad was scolding her for getting mad whenever he replied to her messages late. Nafiseh snapped back, saying he should always read her texts immediately. He tried explaining that he might be busy, maybe at work, in class, or even in the bathroom, but she wouldn't accept it. She said, "How long does it take to send a message? Just reply to me." He finally lost his temper and said, "Because when I do reply, you send another one right away, saying you didn't answer this part, and it never ends. I can't be texting 24/7. I have things to do." I didn't interfere, it wasn't my business, so I just stayed silent, watching the rain slide down the window. Then, right next to a cafe that smelled heavenly of coffee, Murad pulled over and went inside to get us some drinks. As soon as he stepped out, Nafiseh sighed and said, "See? How hard is it to just reply to a text? I don't get why he's like this. It really annoys me. But I'll fix him. Whenever I get mad, he ends up saying, 'Fine, whatever you say,' and does what I want anyway." I smiled and said, "You're right, he should reply fast. It's not that hard to send a message, right?" That's what I said out loud. But the old me, the real me, would have said, "Shut up, Nafiseh. He's got a life, he's not your toy." He should be asking you why you left his texts on read, not the other way around. The guy's kind enough to drive us home in this rain, even buying coffee for us, and you're still finding faults. But that's human nature. We all want things to be the way we think is right. And when we realize someone values what we like, we start expecting them to act that way, whether we mean to or not. If I find out you like something, whether I mean to or not, I'll automatically start doing it around you. And if I know you dislike something, I'll avoid it. That's just how people are. We do these things, consciously or unconsciously. Back then, I only wanted to seem attractive in the eyes of a handsome, charming guy like Murad. Not as someone trying to be his partner or someone who wanted to betray Nafiseh. No, nothing like that. At that time, I just wanted to be seen, to be that girl everyone looked at, the girl people said was beautiful, the one Murad or anyone else might say, wow, she's stunning. But slowly, that phase turned into something else, unfortunately. As you heard, in the car I sided with Nafiseh instead of Murad, even though he was right. Nafiseh was happy I agreed with her, feeling justified. After they brought the coffee back, she started arguing again, saying things like, that time you didn't answer my call, or, you ignored my text when you were sitting in the university yard doing nothing, but I texted you from class. It went on and on like that. They argued the entire way until we got to my house. When we finally arrived, I thanked them both, got out, and went home. The next day, when I was heading to university, I left my hair down instead of tying it up. I braided the front into 2 small strands and let the rest fall behind me. All day long, I could feel Murad's gaze on my hair every now and then. Everything kept going normally, my life, my classes, and those small moments where I'd show off a little. Nothing big, nothing that would cause trouble or make Nafiseh suspicious. Until one day, Nafiseh told me she got engaged. Her skin was a gorgeous bronze tan, like a soft golden brown glow, and mine was fair, with a slightly wheat tone, not pale, just bright and smooth. When Nafiseh went to choose her engagement dress, she called me and begged me to come help her pick something good. I agreed. That day, I met Murad's mother for the first time, a very refined, classy, and educated woman. In contrast, Nafiseh's mother wasn't a bad person, but she lacked tact. For example, Murad's family was wealthy, like, really wealthy, so there was no need for her to keep saying things like, my daughter's engagement dress has to be expensive. She won't wear anything cheap. My daughter deserves the best. You don't need to keep repeating that when you're marrying into a rich family. They already plan to dress your daughter well, no need to remind them. It was clear that Murad's mother wasn't really fond of Nafiseh's mom. Anyway, after a few passive-aggressive comments from Nafiseh's mom and a lot of calm patience from Murad's mom, we finally reached the boutique. The place was full of stunning dresses. Honestly, I'd never seen anything so beautiful in my life. We usually bought our clothes from malls or regular stores, never from a high-end boutique like this. I called my mom, excited, and said, Mom, can I buy a dress from this boutique? They have the most beautiful gowns I've ever seen. She quickly said, of course. Buy whatever you like. I'll transfer the money, don't use your own. I thanked her, and we decided that Nafiseh would choose her dress first. Murad's mom, Nafiseh's mom, and I agreed that we'd let Nafiseh pick first so we wouldn't distract her with our own choices. Murad's eyes were drawn to soft colors, pale pinks, beiges, and creams. But Nafiseh didn't like those at all. I knew exactly why. She was tan, and pastel tones didn't suit her. They made her look washed out. She preferred bright colors like lemon yellow or light green. Suddenly, Murad's mom spoke up gently, Sweetheart, has anyone ever worn lemon yellow for their engagement? That's not really an engagement color. I think you should go for something in cream or beige or even white if you want. But lemon yellow or green. I don't think those are appropriate. Nafiseh's mom, who'd always complained about how quiet she'd been during her own marriage years ago, seemed eager to make up for it now. So she snapped, completely out of nowhere, "Excuse me, but isn't this Nafiseh's engagement dress we're talking about, doctor?" Murad's mother smiled politely and said, "You can just call me Zara." Nafiseh's mom smirked and replied, "Sure thing, Zara June." "Isn't this Nafiseh's engagement?" her mom said sharply. Murad's mom looked a bit shocked. "Yes," she said, "of course it's Nafiseh's engagement. That's exactly what I'm talking about." Nafiseh's mother smirked and said, "Then please don't interfere." That made Murad furious. He snapped, "What is this? Why should my mother be disrespected?" He started arguing with Nafiseh. I quickly stepped in, grabbed Murad's mom's hand to stop her from leaving, and said softly, "These kinds of things happen early on. Nafiseh's mom didn't mean anything by it. You're wise and mature, please just forgive her. And honestly, I agree with you. An engagement dress shouldn't be yellow or green. I'll go talk to Nafiseh and convince her to pick something white instead, okay?" She sighed, managing a small smile. "What can I say? I'm not here to fight. Whatever they think is best. I honestly wish I hadn't come." I laughed gently. "Oh, come on, how could you not come? It's your only son's engagement. Let Nafiseh pick her dress first, then we'll pick one for you. You don't have a daughter, so think of me as your daughter today. I'll help you find the perfect dress, and I'll be totally honest about what suits you best. You should shine just as much as the bride that day." She finally smiled warmly. Her face lit up. "A lot of my colleagues will be there," she admitted quietly. "We've invited so many people. I really want to look good. I'm nervous." I laughed again. "You have such a beautiful figure, honestly. You look like you're 20. Anything you wear will look amazing. Don't be nervous. And I'm here, and so is Nafiseh. We'll find something perfect." She gave a small smirk and said, "I'd rather Nafiseh not choose anything for me." "The girl who picks a yellow engagement dress? No, thank you." I chuckled, took her hand, and walked back toward Murad and Nafiseh, who were still arguing. When Murad saw that his mom was laughing and seemed fine, he relaxed a little, though he still looked annoyed. Nafiseh's mom, having just been scolded by him, sulked in a corner. Nafiseh's hands were trembling as she looked through the dresses. "Which one should I choose?" "Hurry, tell me something," she said nervously. I looked around and found one I thought was perfect. "This one's really nice," I said. She immediately frowned. "No, I hate it. I don't like the sleeves." "What about this one?" It was a short, strapless dress with ruffles. Murad's mom was clearly a classy woman, modern but traditional too. I knew she wouldn't like to see her future daughter-in-law wearing something so revealing that her underwear might show when she sat down. So I whispered softly, "Maybe this one's a little too short." "They might not like it." Nafiseh snapped, "They can deal with it. Everything can't always be their way. Are you on my side or theirs?" I smiled calmly. "Yours, always yours. If you love it, wear it. No one has the right to tell you otherwise. I'm sure it'll look great on you. You've got long, beautiful legs. It'll suit you perfectly. But maybe just try on the one I picked too. Who knows? You might end up liking it better." She reluctantly agreed. We went back to the others, and Nafiseh held up her own choice while I showed the one I had picked. I said, "Nafiseh really likes this one. She feels it's perfect for her. But I thought this one was also beautiful, so I'll make her try both and see which one she prefers. But in the end, of course, it's her decision. I just think a bride always shines on her engagement or wedding day, no matter what she wears. She doesn't need to try so hard. A bride should look elegant and graceful. Like, I could wear this strapless short dress, or you could wear it to my wedding, but for your engagement, it's cuter to have a little innocence, a touch of class." Murad and his mother stayed silent, probably because Nafiseh's mom had told them not to interfere. But the dress Nafiseh chose was so short it shocked even her own mother. "Nafiseh, that's way too short," she said. "The one your friend picked is much prettier." "Wear that one." Nafiseh frowned. "But I like this one. I want my dress to look fun and doll-like." Murad finally stood up and said, "All right, fine. Take both. Wear this short one for the start of the party, then change into the other when it gets more casual. You can even take photos in both at the studio." So, somehow, they convinced her. She ended up buying both dresses, and honestly, she looked amazing in them. Then it was our turn. I carefully searched for a dress for Murad's mom. Out of all the dresses I picked, hers were definitely the best in the boutique. She had an amazing eye. She also picked a few on her own, but in the end, she chose one from the ones I'd selected, not the one Nafiseh had picked for her. Nafiseh had chosen a long skirt with a jacket, but the one Murad's mom chose was far more elegant and refined. It felt like we were at one of those fancy European-style fittings. She had picked a plain skirt and top, but I had chosen a gorgeous dress for her, sparkling with stones and elegant embroidery. She wanted to shine that day, and that dress was perfect for her. While I was helping her, I also found a pink dress for myself. It had a slit, sparkly details, and a princess-style cut that hugged my waist and outlined my curves beautifully. It was stunning. I was torn between the pink and the white one. So I called Nafiseh over. I didn't want to make it obvious that I preferred the pink one. I said sweetly, "Nafiseh, I really love these dresses." She looked and said, "Damn, it's gorgeous. Where did you find it?" I said, "Yeah, it's pretty, but it comes in 2 colors. I like the white one, but I don't want to wear white that day. I want you to be the only one in white. You should be the one who stands out. What do you think I should do?" She looked at both dresses and said, "Well, take the pink one. It's really beautiful and suits you. Take that one." I hesitated, acting unsure. "You think so? It's kinda creamy, maybe too close to white." She sighed and said, "I don't know, but the white one's definitely yours." I smiled and said, "You're right. Only you should shine in white that day. So I'll take the pink one." I put on the dress, let my hair down, found a pair of heels, and got ready as best I could, making sure the dress showed off my slim waist, fair skin, and figure. Then I stepped out. Murdad's mom was full of compliments, while Nafiseh's mom clearly didn't like that I came out looking like that in front of the groom, but she didn't say anything. Even Nafiseh said I looked gorgeous, but I could feel Murdad's eyes fixed on me the whole time. Then, the boutique owner came up to me and said, "We've never had anyone make this dress look so beautiful. Could we take some photos for our catalog? If you agree to give us a few pictures and videos, I can give you the dress for free. Honestly, your body shape is perfect. If the video goes viral, we might even sign you as our model." I smiled. I was thrilled by how they were praising me and how well the dress suited me. Of course, I said yes, and they took a few photos. But I could see Nafiseh getting upset. They hadn't taken any photos of her or complimented her on her bridal gown. Suddenly, she stood up and said, "I think I didn't choose carefully. My dresses aren't even nice." She made everyone wait another 3 hours, trying on at least 10 dresses, crying, getting angry. She even ripped one by accident. Finally, she admitted the first 2 dresses were the best after all. We'd been in that boutique for about 7 hours, starving and exhausted, before she was finally satisfied. When we stepped outside, they suggested we go have lunch. I said, "It's getting late. I'll just grab a taxi home." But Murdad said, "No way, you have to eat something first. It's 5 p.m. Where are you even going?" "We're all hungry." Nafiseh doesn't get it. I quickly said, "Oh, come on. Nothing's more important than Nafiseh's engagement dress. I'm not even hungry. But if you insist, sure, I'll come." So we went to eat together. At the table, Merdad's mom and I kept joking and laughing together. She had such a fun personality. But, my dear friends, that's the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 tomorrow.